I want to call this trading system this is the 4-period simple moving average is the white line. The yellow line is closing prices. The big bar is a bar I got, and it's just called range bar. It's just a big fat bar because if you've never traded before and you want to make money and you just want a simple system, this is a turnkey system. The rule set is when the white line is pointing up, you buy when the yellow line starts to get near it. And there's a couple metaphors and analogies for what this looks like to me as far as how I could think about it and portray it to people that either live in the flat earth where they're looking down on the planet and they can see the whole planet, or they are looking at it like an up and down world. So the reason why people can make money, maybe the cloud traders are making money because they see the cloud, right? The market comes back to the cloud. Well, the cloud in this system is the white line. You only have one cloud and you only have one price. You're not going to have to worry about pronouncing all those other words. And another thing is you're 4x away. So if you were trying to build a something and you had to momentarily jump down and zoom in to see, did you really solder that thing together? I mean, let's drill down and see, is it really, like, did you think this out? And then you have the macro views. So, and you have, in those markets, you've got trends that really do exist, and they're momentary trends. And is there a way to get in these things? I'd say yes. There's a really robotic, and you can see what the 4 period robot's thinking. You're basically looking at what a 4-hour system would trade like, and you can see the flaws immediately. You don't have to bet. I don't care. You should be able to just have a rule set. And if the SM, this is the 4-period moving average, if it goes sideways here, then it's not a sharp enough angle for you to jump on that train. Forget about it. The energy's gone. But now it's time to think about trading breakouts and limit orders. You're not looking for, it could be over. It could literally be over. Now that pause could also be a pause before another move up. But if you have a radar system, if you run this, so if you had an account that's set up just for a 4-period moving average, and you have radar panels, right? Everything's set to that damn setting, but just one moving average, because even at that, you've already got like plenty of potential risk, because it's not always going to pull back into it beautifully. Like up here, this pullback here could have been like like this stuff up here when it pulls back. And of course this is the classic reversal entry where this is the D, this is the B, and we're hoping that it's going to keep going up. And the SMA has a double top, where the double top already happened in the 1-period moving average. You have a top becoming a bottom in the actual price, and you've got the 4-period SMA smooth, and this would be the 5, say, right? You run the 5 on top if you want. But the cloud gets bigger the more moving averages. So maybe you put 3 moving averages, 1 moving average apart. This way, imagine you were running a 5 SMA bot, a 4 SMA bot, a 3 MSA bot simultaneously from different tablets, or maybe in the same program. I don't know what the limitations are of MT4, and I have to get a checklist for these coders and see if it's even possible, because I know for certain you could build a 5, a 4, a 3 bot, put them on tablets, and let these, or put them on virtual cloud computers and let these puppies just crank it out, right? Because the other guy's going to get blown out, right? Now, if you put hard stops on everything, or you have, and this is going the extra mile, of course, hopefully there's somebody that can code a thing that says, well, when the ATR is 10, we go to this script bank. When the ATR is 20, we go to this script bank. You need to have a robot that can do that. Otherwise, I don't know what these robots are on, like a house cleaning mission where they just go one way, they never hit the other angle, and then you end up with a dirty floor. So you have to have that too, right? If you really want to have this, well, I'm just going to hit a button and walk away. Yeah, there's definitely got to be, right? But the manual version is you look at the chart, you hit the button. You're like, yeah, it's on an angle. Hey, honey, look, you think it's at the river? And of course, in the big picture, and I wouldn't go too far out, so I'm only going back 20 bars, man. If you've never traded before in your life, don't even go back that far. Ask yourself right now, is there a way to make money? So if you didn't get long here, and this is an obvious trend trade, and yeah, you're expecting it to come up to say here, right? You're looking to make 20 pips. You're not trying to make these outlandish setups where it's a Stapleton entry. You sell up here, and then we're going to get out down here. Okay, that might happen. But for God's sakes, I might get hit by a car just sitting in my house, the way people drive. So I don't even want to think that far out, you know? And so, yeah, it's totally possible to make money. Now, here, there was no chance to get on. If your rule set is that the yellow's got to come back to the river, but if you were babysitting this puppy, I guarantee you this thing fed on it, right? This did come back to the cloud. And that is another problem with a lot of this stuff is that people are waiting for these candles to close. But when you see this thing freaking out, and it's coming back up into this bottom at the rivers down, I'm sure at some point here it had to come up into here. So it was from this close, at some point we were cocked like this, and we were right into this, and it was at the river, and you had your finger on the trigger, like, wow, damn, that thing. And that's the 4 hour though, right? So you have kind of all day long to put a sell limits in here, but you never got picked up. Here, you're only trading from the long side. And I get, you know, I make fun of all these trend people. Is this really a 4 period? I mean, it's really, I'm trying to be as tight to the market as possible. The biggest money-making robots in the world are getting in on order flow. They're just like, we're in. I mean, who wants to not ride this mother? And if you just told the robot, sell at the crossover, buy at the crossover, it hasn't crossed over. Buy at the crossover. That robot's long to here. The robot's long to here. This, you can't be running these big ass 200 SMAs. Are you kidding yourself? I mean, the entries there are so far from, like, it's a train station that's built in the middle of, you're like on the 9th, you know, on the 40th planet from the sun, trying to wait to hoping that they build a bus route out there. It's not going to happen. You're wasting your time. You got to build a tight system. Got to ride this thing. I mean, you just got to go where this thing. It's like you're at the mercy of this thing. If it's going up, you got to figure, well, where can I rationally board this train without losing my feet? And you will see the scalp, and then you have to take something off the table on the initial entry. You're like, we could just go down. We just keep going to hell. But this is a simple system for people that just want a turnkey. You just set up your, go to your trend, set your simple moving average to 4, and put a 1 period moving average on top. And it's just, you come to the river, you come to the cloud, the thing is coming into the capture zone. You don't have to back test it. You can see it, you can see it works, right? I mean, and it's actually shows you, just like Gartley doesn't have, there's not the only Gartley entry is here, right? This is the kickback, this is the trap for the final gasp of whateverville. And this is obviously the Elliott wave, perfect Elliott wave setup, where this is 0 wave, this is 1, 2, 3 of the, or this is, well, see, it's already, this has got to be 3, right? But this is the point. This is the setup, right? The fact that you come back to here, 2 to here, right? So, yeah, this has got to be 1, 2, 3, right? So what's Elliott's got to have more than, he's got to have 7 waves, obviously. But see, the count doesn't matter. It's the angle of this, in this system, to make money. In here, we pierce in where it kind of went flat, and this is a good buy, but it didn't complete. And you just have to be aware of the fact that the party, if you didn't get out here, which is a hell of a lot of money, and I don't know where that happened in the picture, but obviously that if you had targets beyond the round, and notice the respect for the round handle. There's no respect for anything. Look at this. Talk about, this is 8 hours. This is double bottom. This is stuff like the dumbest stuff you've ever seen in your, do you feel dumber now having missed all these trades on this chart? So, but you would have to come back to this chart every 4 hours and say, hey, or you want to aggressively, hey, you know what? I'm just going to sell the new stops down. Of course, you're making money, but you're risking, right? You got your trailing, and but it's all good, right? But wow, look at this. Now, tell me this isn't like a display of you're trading from the long side, and now you're putting in buy limits like a genius back here at this top. Wow, how about that fill? Right? And it's telling you the cloud's still going up. So these are easy systems to trade. You should have no problem making money on this. Now, the only problem that's going to screw you up is that if you don't pick how many pips you're trying to make every day, you need to have a system that says, I'm going to put a 10 pip stop on everything. I'm going to put a 15, a 20. You pick that number. Now you're going to look for this thing to go flat for these many pips. The problem here is that when it goes flat for the this double top here where you're just flat and there's this doji, problem is there really isn't the velocity that you need. And by this time here, it's steep enough where you could say, all right, I could hop on the short train into that. And that's it. That's about as low risk as it gets, because any type of probing into that, and if you went to the 1 hour or the 2 hour chart, but you definitely, if you've got more than one currency running, you're not going to have that problem, because this is your radar system. This is like 4 period radar. So people talk about the radar stuff and all that. This is the riverbank. This is the cloud. The cloud's brutally down, but look at this thing pop up in. You would have been filled there. If you would have placed your trailings, if you had a robot that could place trailing limits at the river, look at this fill here. You got filled on that, right? So you can see where you don't have to backtest this shit. What, are you nuts? Look at this. You know you got filled. It probed into the river. You had buy limits on that. For the even if you scalped to here, get back in. Get back in. Right? Trend's your friend. Here. They stop hunted this guy by 2 pips. And a perfect inflection point. No need for another moving average for confirmation. You can't have all that stuff going on. It's bad enough that you've got to come up with trade plans that have stops like this to take cash out of here. Trade's over. Boom. Right? Maybe it's going to pull back. Maybe you're going to sell into this triangle. There's probably going to be sellers up at that triangle. And just come back, trade it back here, get out. But yeah, this is loghead trading. You just put this 4 period on here, works every time, and look at all the time frames on all these charts, and just you're scanning. Now maybe you want to trade the 4 hour trend, which would be put this on 1 hour setting, and this is now going to be the 4 hour trend. The 4 hour trend's down, right? You're bucking the trend here. Here's a beautiful entry. On the 4 hour, this is the 4 hour trend on the 1 hour pound. Here's another perfect entry. Here's a sell. Here's a buy. I wouldn't go any further than that. You need to have a binary. If you're going to really trend trade, you pick the big trend would be 4x out, and then here's your entry. You're entering right at the river. Sell. Sell. Not a lot of money. Pops back in for the buy. It doesn't close there. Here's where the robot's getting his ass kicked. But you have to be aware of this triple. That's why you have to be awareness of this. Once this thing you're really threading a string here. Once this starts to smooth out, I mean, you know this 4 period is a lag thing. You're counting on that to be your bounce, to be your inflection point for either this is going to be the idea that there's a Gartley living inside of that, right? This is your trend continuation entry node here right now again. And it's not going to go on forever. And then it's going to go sideways, it's going to fizzle out. But you have to realize that that's coming, right? The honeymoon phase is over, and now you basically bought a base. That phase of the relationship's over. You now own an aluminum baseball bat, and your wife's nagging you. So you can see where this is going. And here was now if you do a zoom out view and look for here's a good back test. Like, was that a good place to get in down here? Gee, I don't know. pulled back into a super steep 4 period. Here again, another feeding on the river here, but see, the party starts to become over here at this point. And all trend bots have this problem. So sure, it's cleaning up here. It's buying every pullback into the cloud. Here, another glorious entry, another one, but you're starting to go flat. You smoothed out the data by 4x. Now, amazing trend entry here. Killer trade, right? Not maybe the best. You kind of, and then it's getting a little bit, because this was so grandiose. Yeah, baby scalps here off of it. If you had the script dialed down to a tighter stop, those were even good trades on the 1 hour. The 4 hour trend drifting into the resistance. Plus, you have this big void forming. Never forget, there's always going to be a hollowed out. When the river comes in, it makes it hollows it out, and then the river breaks. Right, the river gets too congested, it breaks, and it has to find a direction. Here was a good entry here, but they might have chopped you out. This was qualified, but see here, angularly, this is all garbage. This is where the trend bot's getting annihilated. There's no panacea. This works when it works, but this would disqualify your entry if you had a filter for when the moving average goes flat. You don't touch this thing. You just don't even. You just can't trend trade it. You can breakout trade it, and you should run breakout strategies, I think, because the volatility's died down to a 20 pip range now. When it's screaming up here, like when it's up, this is a lot of pips, and this is up 60 pips, and it pulls back for 8 pips. I don't know if you've ever been in that trade on the wrong side, and you're like, oh, this is the bounce, we're going to go back. No, it just keeps going. So that's what those are, that node there, and that's the classic perfect extension node that you'll typically see in these markets is here, doji pause, the trend traders get in here, it's over. Now congestion comes in. Like, this isn't really that node thing, this isn't as violent, but when it gets violent, but that doesn't always happen. So all this garlic stuff people trade and all that, to really maximize, you have to keep it simple. Because once you stack one thing, now it's about, well, do you have a trade plan for every one of those psychotic ideas that you have? But here you can see, if you stay away from stuff that's moving slowly, then it's not going to be a velocity trend trade. Like here, this entry here earlier was genius, right? Comes back to this, you get in. Plus you have the confluence of, you knew this was a triple top. It's a quad top on it's like a quintuplet top on close, but it's really only a triple top in the 4 period SMA. Breakout, comeback, trend confirmation, the cloud. I mean, come on, that's easy peasy stuff. This is one of the system they would say it's robust. Pull back to, and here there was chances to get in because you can see the wicks probed into the river. So if you babysat this puppy, you know where the river's at. When the market's slamming into the river in real time without going to a 5-minute chart, you can see your entries are going to be like, wow, just whew. And maybe running sell stops. Maybe if you think backwards to protecting yourself in a situation where the people that are short this thing, when it backs up on them, think how the other guy's thinking, like all the trend people and all the trend bots and all the trend, keep on going, right? Their trailing stop is just behind the cloud here, and when this thing reverses, wow. And they take it up into this, right? The trend traders are going to try to hop on the next, since the robots have already initiated longs maybe at the crossover. The robot went long at the crossover, imagine that. A system like that makes a ton of money until it doesn't accommodate for this chop. So when the robot has to turn itself off when the trend goes flat. That would be definitely a filter you'd need for that. When the ATR dies down, we need to go flat. When the ATR is high, we need to be buying at the trend. Just like this. Killer entry here. Even the crossover entries, just mark those off. The only back testing you're going to need to do with this system is, can you mark off every time that this line crossed that line. Here's a crossover, 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 no crossover, crossover. So how many trades were there on that, right? And you can see, well, you know, it's getting, I'm kind of getting killed on the chop. Yeah, well, you really only want to get in when it's coming back in this beautiful setup. This is a little bit rugged, right? The argument here is that I should have run the 6-period moving average. It would have been perfect. Well, you could do that too. And if you can't find a coder to code it, you just run separate robots on a bunch of computers. But here you can see, wow. I mean, this 1 hour chart, they just keep poking into that thing. Here, it looks like we're going up. Like, this is sideways. Now I'd trade breakout strategy coming into here. Not to say they can't come down to this 20 handle and re-freak people out, right? And the freak out entry here at the 100, at the round. Here's the freak out entry, almost down there, but always the battle. The battle for the round, clear the trees, come back, get choppy. So this is a simple system. Anybody can trade it, no secret. Where's the trades here? They just jump out at you, I hope. Comes a steep, you're looking for a steep white line for your entries. So you're going to sell at the steep white line, anything that feeds along that. Now here the problem is that they're smashing your head apart. So trend, that's why, you know, in this, I don't know, we're in the 1 hour chart here, this is not, it's going to make it back when we do this stuff. Buy here, but see, structure trumps any, no offense to Trump, forget the SMA unless you get the perfect entry, and yeah, you're gonna get, that's why you get clobbered. That's why you can't, that's why these robot ideas are just a joke, because this is severely just nothing but a market maker. It's like a hedge fund, right? It's all about limits. It's all sideways. 80%. This is the 20% glorious run when the robot, the trend bot's going to get his ass kicked on this. He's getting his ass kicked right now. Even this. There's nothing great about that. So you're only going to see, if you got 8 currencies up, you're only going to see 2 panels of trading a day that have the best, the best hope. The best setup as far as meeting the criteria for a steep white line. So today the only setup was the British pound on the 1 hour, and I guess maybe the Australian dollar pulled back here. You got a killer entry here, right? So this was a nice entry. This was a nice entry for a little bit, a few pips. Here was a nice buy. A little late, but a couple pips. Here it's just punishment. Keep tagging the round though. Interesting. No, that's 20 pips. And keep, you know, this thing barely moves. Another smash down here. Nice scalp. Dollar CAD's making a triangle. Something's up. Probably dollar's going to go up against it. I said this year the yen was going up. Sure enough, they went up and took it. If you scalped it off the thing on the weekly, you made 40. That was the scalp today. Same thing here. Not so much. This is definitely going up. Buy. Triangle. Going up. This guy. We got to get past this. We could come all the way back to here again and do a big smash. Huge activity at the round today. Beautiful double bottom on the 1 hour in closing price, but just a single bottom on the 4 hours. So you're smoothing out just enough. This is no 200 SMA system, and it's very simple. It's a very simple system to trade. And you're looking for sharp angles. So dollar CAD. Here's a killer entry when the robot was shining at the round. Again, another round handle trend entry. Notice this conspiracy happening a lot. Look at the pullback to the round handle conspiracy. Forget the flat Earth people. This is where it's at. Here's another triangle forming. What could possibly go wrong? So, and could this thing trade like? One thing we know for certain about these markets, it's not going to go like this. What's the probability that it just keeps going like this? And then like, yeah, you know what? We found out the Forex market was rigged, so we closed them all down. Right? Probably going to keep going up now, right? Maybe we go to here. Maybe we complete some wonderful channel. But maybe we don't. Maybe this is the next frontier. Maybe it just spills out here and collapses, bounces off the ground, finds support. They go, uh-oh, big problem in Texas. And it just keeps going down. But you buy here, and then you scalp to here, and then you get a new wife, and then you beat her with a baseball bat. But I'm just speculating. I would never do that. Thing is, yeah, it's frustrating if you're waiting for your system to give you a signal. And I guess if you had a buzzer, you could certainly build a robot. There's no way in hell, there's no way to build a simple robot that just buys on crossovers. So take your MetaTrader, and you'll see that if you take an MACD crossover of the 1 crossing over the 4 and you run that on a MetaTrader robot, you will see that makes a pile of money. But then it goes into a losing streak because you got to turn this robot off. It needs a filter for the ATR. Otherwise, forget about it, right? It's going to be a disaster waiting to happen. But is it possible to, and certainly the 4-hour bot is going to be a little bit more conservative. There's going to be less trading. So if you switch everything to 4, and this is like the 16-hour trend now, unless you want to, I would actually tighten up the moving average at this point. It'll make it a little snugger because maybe you want to get in on the very first, of course here you can see less trading, more money. The New Zealand is the ripest buy right on the 4-hour. So that's a 16-hour trend. Here was the big monster, here was the monster trade today. The trend monster is the 16-hour trend on the 4-hour chart. It comes back to the river. You sell here with all the confidence of a drunken sailor, and swoosh. Right? Here, not so much, but it wasn't bad. It met the criteria, but it doesn't have that killer, like, here was a nice, met the criteria, sell, but you're late in the trend. If you're trend trading, you realize that the trend's already, if you think there's a trend, well, it's already moved, right? The swing traders have had their fun. The swing traders got in at that round handle, and they've had their way with you. So we have to admit to where we're at in the market scheme. Here, they're beating the hell out of these trend traders. They're ready to give up. The range traders that trade off the infamous round number are just like, dude, we're just here because we got customers. We just need a cup of coffee. We're not going to get married. Like this is, you got, like this, when this thing crossed over here, and even the crossover bot went short here, and he never got another signal. So if you're really going to do this with robots, you need to have a 5-period bot, a 4-period bot, a 3-period bot, and maybe a hard stop of 20 pips on each bot, and then you know what's performing better as far as the moving average. Plus, you're just keeping a linear stop. At least you can do that. Your back office girl doesn't have to work all night. Well, maybe she does. And then she can just say, oh, well, when you run a 15-pip stop, it's pretty decent on the 16-hour trend with, say, the British pound based on the ATR that's currently going out the door. So if you're really going to trade this stuff and you really think you're all that in a bag of Doritos that have gone stale, then you just literally have to do all that, right? And you just run this stuff. Now, do you have to backtest that? No. Obviously, on the face of it, it makes total sense to trade with the trend. It's how do you get into this thing? So if you're going to wait every hour and look at the chart and go, you know what? We're at the river. Hit the button. Now, that could be a market order. It could have markets with limits, markets with stops. It could be, and it could have the 4-hour bot running on another broker. I mean, the 4-period moving average bot. And you can have a weighted moving average. Now, personally, I would run the 5-period moving average linear weighted. I would run the 5-period moving average smooth weighted. I'd run, like, if I was really going to do that trend stuff, as opposed to kind of hand placing auction orders. I mean, there's two ways. There's like three strategies, right? You're either trend trading it, you're range trading, or you're swing trading it. Now, swing trading is range trading, but you're getting in at the edge of edge. The most unfair value on the planet, right? Let's hope, right? When everybody says, "Oh, it's going to hell," you're like, "Really?" I mean, how much more hell can it go to? Then you're loading up. Then you're riding this puppy for 3 months, just going, "Wow, unbelievable," right? And the thing comes flying back, and you're just like, I mean, who hasn't done that trade, right? And even if you did that trade in a 5-minute, imagine this is a 5-minute chart, and you're loading up, and that puppy comes ramming back to you. You're like, dude, I just made so much money. I feel like I just committed a crime. And you did. I mean, who hasn't just, this guy that made 200, 800, dude, keep doing it. Get a back office girl to say, you know what, you're going to have to tighten these stops up and get a little bit better. And then as soon as you tighten the stops up, you can relax because you're like, you know what, let them stop me out. But if you're offended by being stopped out, which I totally am, probably in the beginning of deciding to trade with stops, when I did trade with stops, I was not offended because it just blew the account. Well, put the stops in there. I took offense to the fact that it's as if I put a sign on my lawn that said, "Do not walk on the grass," and motherfuckers be walking on the grass before I put the sign on the lawn. Now I'm just like really kind of miffed. And so that was a lot of energy wasted and getting pissed off at the, sometimes the crowd's right. Yeah, the trend is your friend. Now, this is the problem with dating women that you're like, and she said, the problem with that, it turns into she really is just your friend. And you're like, oh, I thought it was going to be more romantic than that. But so the romance is in the swing trading, right? There's no romance in the trend trading. It's the unknown, right? So the attraction of trading is the fact that, wow, what if it went down there and then went up there? Yeah, no shit. That is a killer, unbelievable amount of low risk, high probability, high profit trade in these trend trades. You're like, oh yeah, no, I heard the trend's up. But see, the thing is you've noticed that you've been stopped out of a trend trade, and you've also seen them, the trend, whatever the fundamentals are. Finally, you're like, it's like the rain dance theory. Finally the fundamentals make sense and everything cues up, and you're like, wow, see, I told you. But the thing is that getting in out, and just picking this, I guess system trading, or at least know what the robots are thinking. Imagine you had a robot waitress, and they even made her hot, and so she's bringing your food to the table. But there's something about messing around with the waitress. I guess I find the only entertainment going to the restaurant is just torturing the waitress with ridiculous questions. And I guess you feel guilty. Maybe you should tip them more, because if you're really having your way with them, just joking around, that you should somehow tip them more. But maybe not, right? But I feel that way about the market. That it's got to be a casual affair, or you're just not going to be able to sustain the bitch slaps, right? The pouting. When market's in a doji, I figure it's pouting. It's like a pouting girlfriend. She's like, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I'm like, oh God, make up your mind, right? Make up your mind, or I'm going to get the aluminum baseball bat out, and we're going to get a trend out of this bitch. So, yeah, the trend, and trend trading does work. I've done it. I only did it because I was with a trend trader. And I don't say that if you hang out with gay people, you're going to turn gay, but there is this problem of you kind of feel like, well, I'm this kind of guy, I'm this trader. And if you have a style, if you think I'm a rock guitarist, I'm not a jazz guitarist, but yeah, maybe if you took a jazz lesson, it would improve your rock playing, right? And that's the whole idea or I guess they used to call it in the old days, walking in somebody else's moccasins. So yeah, I'm teasing these guys about their trading, but I guess I'm seeing that they're flawed if you trade backwards to what they're thinking. Because if 90% of traders are losing, then maybe they took lessons from the crowd. And all of these contrarian traders are cleaning up. You wonder why. While you're standing there with your pants torn down and wondering why. Well, people are just giggling. Yeah, because you just totally missed the move. But it's the lack of fear, and this beginner's luck is not beginner's luck. It's lack of fear. And then once you start to realize that you just went up in an airplane and you were up a lot higher than you thought you were, when you get to the ground, you say, "How high was I up again?" They go, "Oh no, that wasn't a normal plane. We were like actually in a satellite." And you're like, "Yeah, but the only thing keeping you from falling down is you're up so high that you were caught in the orbit, right?" But the flat Earth people say that's when that's why the Earth's flat, because when rockets go up in the sky, they turn sideways after a certain amount of time, because if they kept going straight, they'd break the ceiling of the flat Earth. It was the funniest thing I ever heard in my life. It was this flat Earth guy on Stefan Molyneux, and you just had to. The guy worked in a warehouse. It's mind blowing. I thought, wow, these warehouse guys, man, whatever they're taking, I want some. But I think we all know where the market's going. Is the fact that do we have the orders ready to go to jump in it, or should we just come up with those goofball trading systems like this 4 period moving average, which you can make it 8, you're just going to get less signals. But if you're going to build a crossover bot, you want to be crossing over within 3 period, 2 period, right? You want to be on that train. You need to be trading with what the market's currently doing, not what you're like. If you're estimating the entry of some elaborate geometry, you may not get filled for a couple days or a couple hours or a couple. Depending how close you place these orders to the market too. When you place orders super outrageous, realize that you need to have a news event. You need to have somebody like the Prime Minister just turn gay, something, right? Something that rocked the markets. Maybe that's not going to do it right these days, but back in the old days, right? If Richard Nixon came out and said, I got a bigger secret than the tape reel's missing. And, that guy from the FBI was like that, right? That Hoover guy was complete Bruce Jenner. But that stuff happens. So there's this bumper sticker for that. Shit happens. But these markets are just goofball. And really, the trend, sure. When the planets align on a Gartley, I got it. But what if you don't want to wait for that? What if you're impatient, right? If you do want to make money right now, then you're screwed. I think, you definitely at a disadvantage of paying the rent. Because a lot of these trade setups, this guy losing 80 pips, this Greystone genius, 80 pips, really? You couldn't have the time to put in a tighter rig? And if you lost 80 pips across 8 tickets, I'd say, oh, okay, I got it. But who adds it up like that? Like, you on one I'm assuming this is one ticket, right? I guess when people speak in terms of pips like that, now if you got scalps built into your trade plan, you're going to be able to pay for the commissions at least, or the spread. You have to get that spread off the table. To literally get to break even, you need to cover the drama point. So there will be inflection points in these markets that are very psychotic. Surely we're going to come back to this 4-hour river in about 1 hour and 38 minutes, but you're going to get in this thing, you're going to make much money, but you still got to pay for the punishment of a violent entry, and that basically just involves putting orders by limits below the river or below the cloud to get picked up on what you inevitably know is going to happen in the market maker world of a spike, where this guy was complaining about people stopping him out. Well, the spreads on every broker change, and you could be stopped out. So trend trading, in here is a bad entry here. So if you got in here, right, you're going to get killed. But tight stops, and realize when your system's completely not viable for the terrain you're in. But the 4-hour chart, you get 2 or 3 good trades. So out of say you get 2 currencies per week to trade with signals. So you have, say, 5 signals, and you have 2 currencies that are going to react to the trend system. So you have 10 trades, say. You take maybe 20 trades, different prices, but your filter is that you only touch stuff that is sitting on a 4 period, because then you're going to get the benefit of the velocity of the trend with this system. So on this euro, it's a buy. On the British pound, it's not a buy yet. So now it's time to place orders on the river here. What you got to do now is you got to see that this is in an uptrend, and we're going to put orders, buy limits 20 pips deep, or the 20 pip handle. So you have buy limits here and buy limits. If the river keeps, if there's enough velocity in this move, the aggressive traders put buy stops here because they've got a trend. They're saying, oh, the trend's up, see? But we could still dip back into the river later, into these treetops, into the 20. So you'd rather buy at 20, and even if the trade only turns into a range trade to here, and you scalp to here, or it just keeps going up and into this triangle. This is for the Canadian viewers. And so, see, and then there's a double bottom, becomes a top, but it's going to climb up this 20 pip stairway. But how does it get up this stairway? So how do we get up the stairway? That's the question, right? And so we want to get in, say, here and here, because we're going to come back into this pocket, possibly. Especially, this is always going to be, no matter how long it takes to get to here, this is always going to make sense. We got the trend line that we've already broke out to, and we could come all the way back to that too. We could just come back to this beautiful round number like we did before. But in that case, I'm going to get out at the 20 with a 10 stop. And maybe there's a 12 stop to make this much, and there's a deeper one to make this much, and on and on and on. But that's just the effort of placing the orders, and you have the fulcrum here. This is ultimate fair value down here. But yeah, this thing's going up. I said it was going up. I said buy it. I said buy it on open. Last Friday, go look at the tape. So yeah, this is child's play, right? Now the euro right now, euro and the New Zealand are a buy for me right now for the next 3 hours. And then just get back in on the pound when it comes up for its river entry, its cloud entry. So you try to get these things orchestrated so that when this guy is entering, that guy's exiting. You have a revolving door. So the New Zealand's a buy because it's pulling back. We're just on the simple rule set, right? In the 4 hour, this is the 16-hour trend is the white line, and you're going to buy on this pullback because you got an angle here that's decent. Not the best, but this guy doesn't move a lot. So you might have to take that into account a little bit, and you could make this, the candles a different color. You know, it's hard to see actually the piercing of the yellow into the white. That's kind of a problem, but you can see they dip right into the river here, so this is a nice setup, and the volatility's low. So the conservative guys have a buy stop here with their stop here, and they're only risking this much to make, say, to this doji. And that's their trade for the, and it's also this double bottom. But the only nice thing about the 4 period moving average, if you took out the noise, you took out this triple top and you turned it into a more fair value double top. And you can draw your trend lines and extend off of that. Now you have an envelope here, so you're not so all or nothing. You're getting out of stuff, you're getting in stuff, you're getting out. It's like you're dating. Yeah, you're dating. You're married to 10 women, right? This one drives you to work. This one takes you home. This one gets you drunk. This one, you know, abuses you. So you really have to have diversification of, which is not taught in anything. People say, "Oh, I'm this." I'm like, what are you? I wanted to tell this lady that can't get into it, but yeah, I mean, you have to be not just multitasking. You have to be multiverse. Like, you have to be able to, unfortunately, think like Bruce Jenner, like think like a girl, because there's going to be girly trades out here. I'm just saying. But there's the girly trade, which is really the trend trade for me. It's just like, oh yeah, well, I did what you said and made money. I'm like, damn it. I was like, that swing trade was brutally profitable last time. But yeah, the trend trade, is definitely the girly trade, and I would say that only because you tell them to do, like, put your cell here at this river, that okay, it's pointy done, I did what you said. Now this could get blown out, right, just the same, but that's going to happen on any system that is robotic in nature. And when it makes it back, of course, I would take into consideration structure rules before anything else, that this is the triangle, and you got to be aware of that, and it could break either way. But maybe just stay away from these. You go with the ripest entry. I only see 2, really 3. Here's a good buy, right? You came back to the river. It's pointed up. The robot's long right now. It's already crossed over. So you realize that your crossover bot is long on the euro, the Australian, the pound, and on the New Zealand right now. And this one is about to go. This one just went short, right, on the crossover bot, and it's about to go long if it whipsaws you now. So you're testing it right now, real time, right? You're looking at it going, yep, that thing's about to get triggered on a... You have to step out one more thing and just say, well, where are we price-wise, structure-wise, trend line-wise? Now, the trend line is going to be the auto-adjusting trend line, that auto-adjusting moving average. When you do a trend line, you're actually putting in a moving average that the market's chosen the length of that moving average, in essence. It's a hard moving average that the market's chosen, not you. When you say, I'm going to trade the 4-period trend, you're committed to that system. You're locked into that rule system. When you let the market decide what that pace is going to be, I mean, what that structure dynamic's going to be, that's going to be you. And you could do it on the 4-period moving average. It's going to give you a less volatile assessment. So if you had this on the peak, say here, so you have a triangle here, and then you're going to put the triangle on the internal compressed one, which gives you a better top bottom view, because you see this top becomes a bottom on the 4-period moving average, but kind of not really too well, kind of staticky, kind of not really too good on the actual price. The double top becomes a bottom here when the 4-period becomes the 4-period top bottom in the smooth, right? Which means 4-hour, I'm sorry, this is the 4-hour trend. When the top becomes the bottom in the 4-hour trend, it's a big deal. When this top becomes this kind of bottom in the 4-hour deal, you've taken out the noise by just saying, well, this is the top. And you draw your trend lines off of that. Instead, it's going to be more, you're stepping one time frame out without having to go to the other time frame chart. So you see the double top in the SMA becomes the bottom. This is taking you, you're trading the 4-hour chart essentially with the white line is the 4-hour chart without having to go to the 4-hour chart. And then you can do all your spiral like turnaround here, like you hang off of this is a big deal, and you hang to this, and you're like, oh, we're projecting on that. And then you have less chances to screw it up because you can only hang the line off of that now. See? So your projection is off of this to this now. You don't have worry about all the little itty bitty zigzags. That's really what these people are doing when they estimate these Gartleys. They're smoothing out the data. They're taking off all these wicks, chopping off all these killer scalp trades, and they're just focusing on the next magnitude up. But if you were to try to draw trend lines on a 200-period moving average, you are so far away from reality at that point that what the hell? Why bother, right? I mean, you're gonna wait 3 years to get filled on that trade, even if it works out. So we want to go with what's going on right now. We need to make money every day. Every day the market's sitting there waiting for us to get in or out, or to place orders at key levels, retest zones, new extreme swing lows that are just mind-blowing. And we need to take advantage of every one of those situations. Otherwise, forget about it. If you draw a trend line here on the 4-period moving average, you can trust this trend line. You don't need to backtest this. It broke it, and it crossed over and found support there. Is that really? Do you really need to backtest that? I'm sorry, like, really? No. gotta turn off the damn auto scroll here. So yeah, because look at this. Come on, you gotta be kidding me, right? I mean, it's just not like that. It's not that difficult. Like if you if this is all you knew, like just this day, for instance, here, does this trend system work? Yeah, absolutely. Is this hard to trade? No. No, it shouldn't be that hard. The rule system is white is down. This is the 4-hour trend. You're looking for it to come into this. You sell. You have a double bottom. Becomes a top. That's the trend trade supreme. Doesn't get any better. The robot went short here on crossover bot. He went short here. He went long. He went short and he went long. He got chopped up in this 4. This is wave 4 that kills any trend bot. Here he got a signal to sell, but he got his ass kicked if he wasn't aware of the fact that they wanted to retap that triangle again. Now this is where human beings have to step in front of the bot. The bot could trade that, and he might get stepped out, but it doesn't mean you can't come behind the bot with a manual trade. Your bot's trading, and you're helping, right? You have to babysit the bot, is what I'm trying to say. Or babysit your scheme. Is this a good entry for a trend trade? Low candle risk? Hell yes. Did it just come up, clear off this round here? Dollar CAD? Look at the popularity of this. And here's the double top here, becomes the bottom on the SMA 4. Not on price, because price is stopped here. This is the smoothed out market. So if you're looking for that Gartley stuff, put your Gartleys on this. Here's the D. Here's the B. Here's the X, right? Forget these wicks. Forget that wicks. Yeah, wicks free entry. See, but here it's still the B, right? But this is giving you the. You see, this is the D. Sorry, this is the D. This is the B. This is the X. You got 20 pip risk to make 60 pips, because E's should be pretty juicy. It's supposed to actually keep tanking, I think, because this has got to be B down here. Or this got this got to be sorry, this could be C's got to be down here, right? This is C on your Gartley. If you think this was the ultimate entry for this thing just to go to hell, but the trend bot comes in and says, we're in an uptrend. Let's get long. Again, let's get long. Trendbot says we're bullish. Doesn't mean they can't kick it back here to this top. That doesn't mean that won't happen. So that has to be in your trade plan too. To really maximize all this stuff, all these possibilities. Now, if we go to the 4-hour and look for, we step back and the week is just started, so we still have about 5 good trades to come this week. And this is for the system traders that just want to trade for. I have a 4-period system. That's just how it. This is really redneck trading. I didn't want to tell you. But it's pretty much, yeah, it's redneck trading. I mean, I can't. You don't want to go too far with any of this stuff. And zoom out. Look for the crossover. So I'm only looking back about 20 bars on each panel. And we're just looking for it. So auto scroll here. Turn that back on. So here's the buy. Here's the buy. Here's the buy. This is, to me, too late to buy. I already dumped out of that because it came up into this thing, which is kind of like a doji. So it was a previous battle zone. And a lot of these things, they die out in the previous supply and demand zones, and it dissolves, and everybody's happy, and oh, you're not so bad after all. And that's kind of the flow of the crowd, and it's just one of those things. But yeah, you could totally trend trade. You're short on this dollar Swiss, and you gotta buy on dollar the euro to the dollar. So that makes sense, right? Your 4 in Woody's does a CCI of 4. 4 is pretty good. You could do a CCI of 4. You could put CCI as your overbought, oversold trigger point entry. And a CCI, if you trade that, you're going to buy below 100 on CCI 4 and sell above And then you can get you can see how CCI sees the market if you're running, I don't know, this Commodity Channel Index by Lambert. CCI is the Commodity Channel Index. Came out a long time ago. But if you put it on the chart here, say you insert that, and you're going to see this whole other world of possibility, but in that you have to have a rule set for CCIs below 100. What do you do? What kind of style order do you buy? I'm going to buy, right? It's oversold. And if I'm in an uptrend, if my SMA is pointing up and CCI is below 100, just buy. It's no brainer. Instead of waiting for the river or a RSI of 3 or 4 is oversold, just buy. I mean, you're getting in real time. You're getting into the flow. You don't have to wait for this crap. You just don't want all these bars on your chart. The biggest mistake in the car, I'm only calling it a mistake because I lost my brain and I lost money looking at too many bars. I mean, it's great on the weekend to just visually backtest or visually see what you missed. Really, it's like looking back at your phone book of all the women you forgot to call that you're like, damn it, you know what? She wasn't so bad after all. So it's really about that. And there's a lot of resentment for me when I look back, in the old days, looking back at charts, and even now, if I look back on a 5-minute chart and think, yeah, but then I'd have to build a system for that. So you have to admit the painful truth that you don't have time for all these great ideas that you have. If you got any ideas of like, wow, if we could just do that, if we just do that, yeah, no shit. And so I had to create a manual entry system just because I do want to be the final judge of whether or not the trend's fast enough to board the train. If you feel you haven't missed the breakout, but also being aware of the structural issues in all these markets, which is about, and this is the 4-hour chart, which I did the weekly update nonsense, but we can all see that it was really about, it's about this trap here. This is D, this is B, this is E. Okay, I call this the skateboard trade. See that? When you do one of those skateboard things and you flip that puppy, see what I'm talking about? Wheels, skateboard, right? Wheels. I call this a skateboard trade. Flips. He's in the hospital, right? Or I call it the shopping cart trade. Here's the shopping cart, right? I think we can all figure this out. And now it's that hover around thing you see these people on. But that involves cloud trading. You need to put the cloud on top, the big person's on top, maybe some reinforced wheels. But yeah, we all see patterns in here. This is definitely a big deal. This support here, and then there's the actual closing price. So we know this envelope, and also when you add that 4 period, it shows you the bat wings immediately. You see these 2 triangles, these are the bat wings, right? So if you imagine that's the bat wing and this is the crab failure, right? It's not that, it really cleans it up, and it's bad enough you've got this 4 period moving average on here. But every time it goes flat, you know you got a doji on the larger time frame, on the 16-hour trend has flattened out. Can it just keep tanking down? You know momentum's died too when you see a flat. So you really want to breakout trade these. When we go flat, even here, kind of a breakout trade, you don't want flat, it could have gone either way, and some people did scalp into this double bottom. Now we got to buy here, right? Sure. The trend traders, and you can see that the trend traders are thinking, they're like, woohoo, but yeah, they know they got to get out here on something. And you could get in on something to here. You can see the whole thing unfolding for the whole week here. It shouldn't be that hard to think that we could retest here, and you want to scalp to here at least. We could retest this tonight. We could just keep tanking. Or we're going to have to put in shallow buy limits here because it's just not coming back, and now we may have buy stops here because we're going to trade a wedge breakout strategy. You hit a button that puts a buy stop in here now that lasts the next 16 hours, right? This thing just keeps cleaning house. Dude, you're in. It's default trading. It's just like when people put stops in to protect themselves. They, wow, I saved that account. Yeah, I had stops in because when I was wrong, like this was going up and I put sell stops in and they just stopped me out And I wasn't around for this plungeola, but as it's plunging, what if you're putting in buy stops? So you change your tactics based on what's going on. Just because you didn't get on the trend train and you missed the trend trade, you know that ain't gonna last forever. And if you just keep on thinking about, well, at some point here, they've already trapped all the bears and they just violently cut through their, if you think of this as like just like an animal's built a home and then he runs the other way. But this looks like an obvious move back into here and here because of just the pause at the trend. We got a nice trend and we're going into tonight. Well, tomorrow's around the corner and people are going to have to decide. Now the Asian session may just take us up 20 pips into this and that's it. And we might just get to here and that's it. That's fine with me. If it gets to here and now you reload the wagon or reload the account with buy limits down here for another play of the same old stuff over and over again, which is range trading. And it just comes back and it just keeps on. It may go nowhere, but you're making money when it goes nowhere. When you're in the shopping cart, you're making money. So it's really, it's that simple. Here's a beautiful top becomes a bottom with the trend in your favor. A doji trend. Just hit the sell button. You know what kind of order to place. Hit the sell button. Maybe you didn't make a lot of money here. And the robot went long here. He was a genius. Crossover bot sold here. He got his ass kicked, but then he went long again. So he turned around. He got a little chopped here. You can see what the robot's thinking. You should be able to just imagine that you're trading it. You don't need to back test it with numbers in a real account. Come on, don't be silly. If you're that, besides, as it happens in front of you, if you don't trust that the angle of that 4-up period, well then redesign it right now. It's not that hard. It's just the fact that the reason why I never made a ton of money on trading a system is that I hate following rules. Like right now, I just don't want to do anything the rest of the day. I know I got to do stuff, but I'm like, damn, man. Can't we just hire a robot for that? I know exactly what needs to be done. And this is the only place I can see on the planet right now that anybody can survive competing with, well, I guess I feel like it's a war against the robots, right? The one robot that I really hate to death is the voice bot. When you call a place and they say, your call is very important to us. I mean, I'm already, or press 9 for this, and then you try to press 0 and they say invalid button. I feel like, you know what, the robots have just taken over my life and it's a problem. That was a big problem. And so that comes into the trading world, and so I want to win. I want to have 300 different I like it when they say, if you know the part of the extension you'd like to reach, press that in now. Oh my god. Okay, can I just get a gun and press the button with a gun bullet? Like, I don't know this guy's extension, and now I'm thinking about how big is this number I gotta punch in? I don't know, that stuff is... So we've built our own robots, and we know these stupid setups, and we know there's a trend. On some magnitude somewhere in the world there's a trend. And yeah, the trend's your friend, but it's just nothing but a one-night stand in these markets. As far as I'm concerned, these trends last for... Here it's like... on the 4-hour chart here, I'm looking at like a 1-day, 2-day trends. Oh, it went up for 2 days. It went down for 2 days. It went sideways for 2 days. I mean, I don't know if that's a trend to anybody. People usually speak in trends of like, yeah, the 50 period moving average says, and all these guys that are trying to short the stock market, claiming that the moving averages are they're pointing up. It's in an uptrend. Sure, it's choppy. On some magnitude somewhere, it's choppy. I mean, that's obvious, right? But yeah, it definitely is difficult if you are not good at following rules. You're going to just get your ass kicked trading. Only because you have to create your own rule system of some magnitude, right? Even if it's a dumb rule, you have to consistently play that rule out. It's true, you can have to consistently make the same move over and over again and realize that when you punch the wall, say you get angry and punch the wall, which I used to do, but until it hurt my hand. One day I hit it too hard and I thought, let's just not do that again. But I was punching what I thought was a soft wall and it had metal in it. And so I love the punch the wall, and it's just a guy thing, right? You have to punch the wall. But so in the market, luckily, you get a set of knuckles for every, like you can have a very small hand in the punch by just trading small, but then you're going to immediately see that, okay, that doesn't work. But you can do it on a micro level. You can do it on a 5-minute chart and see what works and what doesn't work and when you need to step up to the plate. So unless you're planning on waiting to get filled in the next 4 hours or 16 hours, you need to be like right on it, right? And here, we're going into the next session. Certainly there's a possibility the dollar could back off here and go down 20 pips, and the other currencies go up 20, 40 pips depending on the ATRs of those currencies. And that's obvious, right? And the question is, are you willing to ride that last gasp for a few pips, or are you going to look for those big juicy trades that show up every now and then? Now, it is true that the guy that waits for the big juicy trade, he might have made as much money as the other guy, but I guess if you're not too stressed out about trading on the 1 hour chart with this 4-period moving average, you're going to make decent money in a decent amount of time. And then just wait for the morning to come, see what's going on. You've got or you make this into of course not. Actually, this is a 16-hour trend right here. I'm looking at right here. But you pick the trend you want to trade. Now, a 16-hour trend is almost the daily trend here. And if you're selling on the daily trend here on the British pound, you would have made a bunch of money selling rallies into the daily trend here, or into the 16-hour trend. So if you make this so if you do the math, right, if you make this an 8, what are you going to make this? A 12-period moving average. You're looking at the daily trend. So all you have to do, if you want to build a system that says, well, I don't want to get whipsawed, right? So you would say, well, turn this to the, we set this up on a moving average of, say, 12, right? So the 12 SMA, and now you're going to make this a 1 hour chart. So it's like, or no, you'd have to make this, I'm sorry, you'd have to make that a 2 hour chart. Here you have to make it a 24-period moving average. This is like a half a day moving average, right? This is the 12, so this is the, I guess you have to make it 24, right? So make it 24 to make it the daily trend on the 1 hour chart. And if you went to the 4 hour, you'd have to make it whatever the math is. So I have no math skills, but let's just be blockhead about it and just say, okay, this is the 24, this is the daily trend, literally. So it's the trend. Should you only be taking trades in the direction of the daily trend? And you can see here that there's not a lot of trades, but they're killer, right? Or not from a robot crossover standpoint necessarily, although it did seem to work okay for the robot in a crossover mode. So there's less trading here, and this is, you only have, say, if you consider this thing to be kind of like down here, this would have been the only sell here as the top becomes a bottom with the daily trends down. The daily trends up, you've got kind of an entry here, but see, now you're lagged away. Here it makes sense, right? Daily trends up, you buy at the river. You buy at the river. Killer 20 pip winners, right? The trend was already, for the guy that had the tighter moving average, he was already long here, right? So he banked here. The second mouse gets the cheese idea on this. Here you're finding support at the daily trend. This is what people would say. It just happened to line up like that, right? And this is why some of this is a little bit ridiculous, but this is literally the daily trend. So if a 1 hour chart, this is a 24-hour moving average. So this idea that the guy said in this other video he had a 200 SMA, and he said, well, look for 2 months of that. Take 2 months reference. I'm like, but why? You're at a 200. You're looking at a 1 year moving. If you have a 200 period moving average, if you have a 365 period moving average, you're looking at the yearly trend, aren't you? I mean, isn't that the easiest way to think about that? So here's the daily trend on the 1 hour. Can you see entries here? Does this work? Do you need to back test this? I just did. This looks like a great place to sell. Buy, get chopped, sell, sell. Doesn't quite come back to the river because the river's too far away. Buy, sell. Good sell, huh? Daily trend down, good sell. Good buy, daily trend up. Nothing here. Bad sell. Good buy. Good buy. Sure. Bad sell. You're late to the trend. Here? Oh boy. But maybe your rule is when the moving average goes flat, I don't touch the bot. I don't touch it. Now that takes discipline, which I don't have. Another reason why systems fail is that people don't have the discipline to follow their own rules. So, like when I said I wasn't going to stop eating ice cream and I kept eating it, I said, and so when this moving average goes flat here, maybe you just don't touch this trend bot, and you're waiting for this to happen. Which means you can't be selling into this like a goofball. You have to isolate your entries to the daily moving average. Daily trends down. Now here's when everybody agrees. Oh yeah, look at, but this is the half node I was talking about, is that this is the equal price pulse down. But the pace of the market changes here to just perfectly fit. Perfectly fit. Down again. Is this right over? Pretty much, I would say. Is this a good place to sell based on a trend system? I don't think so. You want to get in the half wave. You want to get in the sweet spot. This is where you get in. Halfway through the most extreme velocity of that. When it gets up here, the trend bot's going to start getting in like a moron up here. If he only gets in when this is super steep, yes, it works. And maybe there's a Gartley inside this puppy, which I guess, well, once again, you have to put that X so deep make that stuff work. But that's why those people get killed on it, because it's such a rare event. I get that it's the fancy wine, but it's going to get you a lot drunker just to drink the cheap wine. I mean, you can get just as drunk drinking cheap wine. But yeah, that would be the daily trend. Now you could have a radar like that, and but you got to commit to the entry system, of course, right? It totally makes money, and no doubt about that. And but realize that when you put this 20 EMA up and you're on the 15, you have to take 15 minutes and whatever divide into the 20 and figure out what's 20 15-minute bars add up to, and realize that is the trend you're trading into and against. Because you counter trend trade that, you're looking for divergences against that moving average. That's all divergence is a change against the mean, and the mean is the in this instance, other than I just edited that one panel, is the 4-period SMA. So yeah, that's totally tradable. And here you're short, right? I don't think it's the best short in the world, but you know, if you take every signal you see, and that's another Mark Douglas creed, take every signal you see, you never know when it's, sure, you're going to get clobbered on stuff, but then you'll get the nuance of knowing when structure is dominating, because you know that if this is a top, become a bottom. If this is going to be the next top that becomes the bottom, the robots may be short, but maybe you don't want to get trapped in that, because it's maybe going to come back here and dilly-dally and then take out and just keep going. Or maybe it really is going to plunge, but if you sold here, you're already thinking about getting out here for your target. So it's a revolving door. One man's target's another man's entry, and that's how it should be. So everybody's winning. We're all winners here, people.